All right, let's get right into it. What if the Great Pyramid of Giza was never a tomb? What if everything you've ever been taught about it is just wrong? Today, we're diving into a fascinating document called the Scientific Indictment, and its claim is absolutely radical. The Great Pyramid isn't a monument, it's a machine.
So the source material just throws this out there right at the beginning. It's a direct challenge to, over a century of established Egyptology. Everything we're about to explore really hinges on this one single idea. The pyramid wasn't built for the dead. It was a functioning piece of technology for the living.
You know the picture, right? We've all seen it in our history books. A tomb for a pharaoh, built by thousands and thousands of workers with simple tools, ropes, and ramps. But the document we're looking at today says that story isn't just an oversimplification. It's a cover story for a reality that's way more complex and way more technologically advanced than we can imagine.
Okay, so if it's not a tomb, what is it? Well, according to this analysis, it's a highly sophisticated machine. The argument is that we're not just looking at a pile of ancient stones, we're looking at dormant hardware built by a forgotten civilization that understood the science of frequency and resonance on a planetary scale. Think about that for a second.
And this really lays out the core conflict, doesn't it? On one hand, you have the official story, a primitive tomb built to honor the dead. But on the other, you have this new theory, an advanced resonant machine, basically a power plant designed to serve the living. The document basically forces us to pick a side, and whichever one you choose, it changes everything.
So how in the world would a machine like this even work? The analysis breaks the pyramid down not like a building, but like a piece of technology, almost like an integrated circuit. It argues that you can actually reverse engineer the entire design just by looking at three key things: its location, the materials they used, and its internal architecture.
But before we get into the nuts and bolts of the machine, we have to talk about its power source. Where did it get its juice? Well, the document points to something called the Schumann Resonance. It's this constant, stable 7.83 Hertz frequency that the Earth itself naturally gives off. You can think of it as the planet's own heartbeat, its own operating frequency. And that is the energy the Giza machine was built to harness.
Okay, first up, location, location, location. The document claims it is absolutely no accident that the pyramid sits at the exact geodetic center of our planet's landmass. This was supposedly the perfect spot to build a planetary-scale tuning fork, essentially a giant antenna designed to vibrate, to resonate perfectly with that 7.83 Hertz hum of the Earth. All right, the second piece of the puzzle is a scientific principle called the Piezoelectric effect. Now, this is a real thing. It's a known phenomenon where if you put pressure on or vibrate certain crystals like quartz, they generate an electric charge. So you're converting physical stress, mechanical energy, directly into electricity. And this idea is absolutely crucial for the next part of the machine.
And that brings us right to the materials. Why Aswan Granite? Because it's over 55% quartz crystal. So the theory goes like this. As the entire pyramid structure vibrated in tune with the Earth, the immense pressure and stress on all that quartz would, through that piezoelectric effect we just talked about, turn the whole pyramid into a massive power generator.
And finally, let's talk about the inside, the internal architecture. The source argues that these rooms and passages weren't for burial rituals at all. They were for processing energy. The subterranean chamber down below, that captures the Earth's vibrations. The grand gallery, that acts as a massive resonator to amplify them. The Queen's Chamber, a chemical factory to produce hydrogen gas as an accelerant. And all of that energy gets focused into the King's Chamber, the machine's power core.
Okay, so let's say this whole thing is true. It's a giant power plant. But what was it powering? This is where the theory takes a really wild turn, because according to this document, the final product wasn't electricity to, light up cities or something. It was something else entirely.
So this is the ultimate question, isn't it? If this advanced resonant machine wasn't for generating electricity, what was it for? The document suggests the final product wasn't even physical. It was something related to consciousness itself. All of this incredible planet-scale engineering for one single profound purpose. And the document gives this process a name, the Apotheosis process. It lays it out in 4 stages. First, capture the Earth's energy. Second, amplify it using sound, architecture, and hydrogen. Third, convert that energy to transform a human operator's consciousness into a stable, projectable orb of plasma. And finally, launch. The operator's consciousness gets ejected from the very top of the pyramid like a soul bullet.
So let's be really clear about what this theory is claiming. The Great Pyramid wasn't a tomb for a dead king. It was a launch platform for a living one. The goal wasn't to remember a life, it was to transform it, to literally elevate it. This wasn't a monument, it was a machine for making gods.
But it doesn't even stop there. The analysis goes on to claim that the Giza pyramid wasn't a standalone device. No, it was the central hub, the prime node, in a planet-wide energetic network. And all those other ancient sites we see around the globe, they were the substations and repeaters in this massive, world-spanning machine.
And how were they all connected? The document points to a very specific frequency, 110 Hertz. It calls this the Gnostic key. The claim is that this was the shared operating frequency for the entire global grid. It's like a technological fingerprint, supposedly proving all these ancient sites were part of one single interconnected system.
And the source says there's even evidence for this, citing archaeoacoustic studies. Apparently, this exact 110 Hz frequency has been measured in the resonant chambers of ancient sites all over the world. We're talking about places like the Hypogeum of Malta, the Passage Tombs in Ireland, and even the mounds of Cahokia, right here in North America. And interestingly, it's a frequency that's said to shift the human brain from logical thinking into a more intuitive state.
So, when you put it all together, this analysis of the Giza machine leaves us with a pretty staggering question. If any of this is even remotely true, if the pyramids really were advanced resonant machines, then what else from our ancient past have we completely and fundamentally misunderstood? It makes you wonder if the ruins of the ancient world aren't just fossils of a primitive past, but maybe, just maybe, they're dormant schematics for a future technology we've long since forgotten.